Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Let me show you something.
Good morning.
You mean you don't trust the police?
Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, excuse me. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is Thursday, October 21st, 2021. And I'm going to jump right in because we're a little late today. And I got some texts and inboxes and where you at? Where you at? But we did put out a flyer saying we were going to be in 9:15 today because both of these gentlemen are extremely busy. And Uncle Thaddeus, are you are you working out? What you came on camera? I'm looking down. I'm like, you look about 20 pounds lighter, sir.
Man, look. See how Conan doing like this? Conan been teaching me. Conan been holding me accountable, man. You know, I saw Conan. We had that men's dinner. I saw Conan. Conan had on this custom-made jacket that was fire, right? Stomach looking flat. You could actually button, right? So I was like, all right, I got to get on it, man. So I've been on it. I've been doing what I do. I got a long ways to go, but I decided I'm on that journey. And I got my band, my Boston Marathon band that I'm part of as my reminder, as my daily reminder to do what I should be doing. Right. And
well, you look good, man.
You do, man. You popped up and I said, wow.
You look good.
All right, James, you gotta be like, don't get it twisted.
No, keep going. No, keep going, man. But keep going though. You know you look good,
Yeah,
but keep going.
You know, family keep family accountable, man. And I'm on it, right? I'm on it. That's all I'm gonna say. I was in the gym this morning at 4:00. Right, and making sure that I'm doing the shit I should be doing.
I appreciate you, sir. You're definitely going to get me challenged. So I'm telling folks right now, we are brothers, and there's going to be some serious issues talked about here, but we always do it in the vein of joy. And so it's going to be a fun but serious show. But Thaddeus, I got to get ready so when I go back to the beach next year, I can go with my shirt off.
You know, I'm gonna leave all that alone.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Conan and I thinking the same shit, right?
This
Look at James. James crazy as hell. Don't mess with. Do not mess with James on his show. He finds every reason to get us. So don't even mess with him on his show, man.
Man, listen, I was walking in the studio to get ready, and I'm like, oh, these dudes are going to make me turn as red as my shirt today. It is going to be interesting. But good morning. I have guests here today in the persons of Conan Harris and Thaddeus Miles, who both are no strangers to the Java Cafe. And so why don't both of you just tell us, Conan, we'll start with you since you're on the top of the screen. Tell us why we're here today. Give us some context of the season we're in, and then sort of your perspective as a black man in it. Now, I'm going to ask you to do that in a minute and 30 seconds. I know you've been around a lot of preachers.
No. I will use brevity. I'll just say, we're here starting one. So over the election cycle, over the mayoral cycle, I had the opportunity of supporting John Barrows running for mayor. And one of the things that we did during his candidacy and during the campaign was engage black men. And one of the things that was so crucial and important is hearing all the stories, all the experience of black men. No stranger to it. Have great opportunities and great friendships. So a lot of what I was hearing was very similar, but the honesty and the realness that came from those conversations, we had to keep it going. And with the newest edition of the Black Man Commission and all the things that are happening and making sure that us as a population is not forgotten. We are here today because Black Joy, Thaddeus Miles decided that he didn't want it to sit just with the conversations. He didn't want it to stop with just the commissions. He wanted to make sure that black men was at the top of the conversation during these mayoral debates. And now that we came to the final two, it was so important for black men to be a part of this conversation, for their situation to be heard. It was important. And so Thaddeus Miles decided to put together a group of us to make sure that his vision was realized. And I'm here as a co-defendant, but mostly to support my brother in his vision.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. And Uncle, chime in and talk about why this is important to you. And we've talked about this before. You've curated events around men. You, Conan, and some others were in just a couple of months ago around dealing with black men's issues and us being seen and being heard. So give us some context to why we're here.
Yeah.
And we'll go into Saturday.
So Conan really said a lot of it, but there's two things that sort of stuck in my craw, right? So the first thing was when On the Record was inviting everybody but the black man and said that he was not relevant. Right, when they said that the voice of a black man was not relevant, right? And I've heard that way too much from our media and from others. The second thing is what Conan said was sitting in that meeting, and Conan asked the question, or maybe John asked the question, Conan asked, when's the last time you've been seen by the mayor? Right, and the answers that came back from us. But when Reverend Brown said, "I make them see me," right, and that has been something that sat with me for a while. Like, I'm sitting there saying, "Well, I haven't really been heard by him. I've been seen." But when he said, "I make them see me," I'm like, all right, I got to figure out, how do I make them see me, right? And so for me, there's that. There's the question of us becoming very invisible and us as fathers. So when I see Conan, when I see, his daughter, the love that he has for his wife, the love that he has for his daughter, his mom calling him king, right? And the other components just of us as black men. And then when I've listened, I've sat back and, I'm not in this political game, right? That I will get into that. But I've sat back and listened for the last year, and I've not heard one conversation that's been about black men for black men take place other than what John was doing. And so I wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to be real, to have some real conversations, to ask them some questions, right? If we had a black woman in there, that's a little bit different experience, right? Because they may have raised a black man. They may have married a black man in a different way. So it's just some things for me that I feel like they need to answer and they need to be held accountable for as they move forward. but it's also conversations that we as black men need to have ongoing. So I'm hoping what John started with the black man's conversation will continue to be able to, that we will continue to be able to move forward. And for me, this is just that next step in that ongoing conversation.
Thank you, Uncle. Conan, you look like you're ready to chime in on top of that. Thaddeus said something to spark you back up.
No. Thaddeus, I knew he was going to talk about the conversation with Reverend Brown and what he said that day, because it was one of those moments where was our first black male conversation, and we got around each other and just had candid conversation. Where Reverend Brown said, "Listen, they're not going to opt to see us. We got to make them see us, right?" And it was so. I seen it touch that in such a way, right? He grabbed him later on at the end of the night. And then next day I talked to him, he brought it up again. And he said, listen, we got to get to a point. And believe me, when Thaddeus says he's not political, he is not on that at all. Like, he's not political. He don't think politically. He's like, listen, good people's good people. I want to be able to help. So he gets a lot of his political stuff. He called me, be like, "What you think about this?" And that's how he gets his politics. Right?
Did you just imitate somebody? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what happens is that's how literally he's saying the truth, but that stuck with him. I knew he was going to bring that up because that stuck with him, and it's been an ongoing thing to make sure that we're at the bottom of every single category in this country and in this city, black men. And we, on a more serious note, we're at the bottom of every category. We have to make sure that people that are running this city, that are in leadership in this city, that are dealing with us and our concerns and our care, right? And making sure that we are thriving and striving in the right direction, like everybody else in Boston. And that needs to be the topic. It needs to be on the forefront of the conversation. And so I commend this brother, and I commend the work that a lot of brothers are doing in this city to make sure that the black boys and the black men are not forgotten, because we are relevant, we are important, we are voters, and we're doing some great work. So kudos to everybody doing the work of pushing the agenda.
Thank you, Conan. Thaddeus and Conan, I want to ask you to answer this as well. How would you respond to the fact that early on, when we started raising the notion around men, there was a little bit of pushback? Men was in the forefront for years, and still, when you go into certain places, even black men are preferred, more than black women. What is it that you say to any pushback that we need to be seen and dually important to surmise what Conan was saying? What do you say to that sentiment that we had our time, and now it's time, with all due respect, while protecting black women, it's time for the women? Where's the balance between that?
So you got me there, right?
You want me?
Yeah. No, I said for me, I grew up with a mom and two sisters, right? And I was the hell on wheels while they were doing what they were doing. So for me, it's always been about protecting black women. You know what I mean? So and lifting up black women, but I've always been that opportunity for us to stand side by side. You know what I mean? And so for me, this isn't about one or the other and. This is about us, complimenting each other and standing side by side and lifting each other up. The same way that there's certain issues that the women have that men need to be supportive. So like right now, I know there's this fight on abortion, right? Yep. And us as men need to be in it, right? This isn't a woman's fight. This is a black man and a black woman's fight, right? So but there's issues and there's conversations that need to be had for black men, right? Because we have certain things, and I don't see setting aside anybody. I don't see like not lifting up anybody. I don't see like getting out of the way. I don't even know what that shit means, right? So you can say that however you want to say it.
Yep.
But, for me, when I look at who's running this city, who's doing things, there's a lot of sisters that's rocking and moving the needle way to the right or to the left, or whichever way they want to drive it. And there's men that's doing it. But how do we come together and actually continue to push the agenda forward to make sure that this moment, as we're calling it, becomes a movement and that is sustainable, right? Because the reality is, if we don't work together as a unit, you know what I mean? Like any family, there's parts of it that's lost. And so I don't step into that. We need to get out of the way. They need to get out of the way, whatever that is, right? Conan's got some different answers around it, but I just feel like, hey, look, it ain't about time. It's about sustaining and creating that legacy, because I know in the reality for me, there are things that I am not going to be able to complete in my lifetime. But that don't mean that I can't start the process of those things being worked on, right? Can I add a brick to what needs to be done 20 years from now? And that's really what I'm trying to do, is to be able to add that brick. So I don't, all that noise, that to me, that stuff is noise.
Yes, sir.
And I'll just add, Thaddeus, this is not the oppression Olympics, right? This is not promote one, demote the other. What happens with white supremacy culture is that you will promote one and demote the other, and then have us acting like we're rivalries. The truth of the matter is, we can both come up. We can both collectively come together and do some great things for our community, for the city, and for this country. It's not about her time versus my time. It's both of our times. We love each other. We support each other. We got to make sure that we're deliberate in that, and making sure that we don't fall victim to that narrative and to that hype. Because what ends up happening is the promoted one will start to say, yeah, you had your time. What you do with it? You got to make sure you don't fall victim to that hype and say, no. There's room for both of us. As the Black family, it's our time. And that's our space that we need to walk into and be present and relevant and take hold of the wheel. And so when we think that way, we'll do things positively to promote each other. So if the sister's up, she's going to look for ways to bring the brother up. If the brother's up, he's going to look for ways to bring the sister up. And collectively, we will be moving the needle for our city and for our community. And so that's how we do it. But do not fall victim to this hype of promote one, demote the other, or you had your time and we've never had ours. No. There's room for both of us, and we have to be deliberate with bringing each other up.
Yeah, because one of the things, James, I was on the panel with Conan's other half, Ayana, and they asked a question, and it came to me, and I'm like, no, my Black queen first. And she's like, nah, I believe in Black kings. You go first, right? So, but the reality is we both are respect and love each other, right? And that is the reality of life. If we're moving forward, right, then I need to be there and support my Black queen the same way that Black queen needs to be there to support me. And so all that noise, that's just the way that people are trying to position us not to be a collective.
Thank you. I'm I get distracted with the comments. One thing that Conan brought up, and I wanted to just do minimally here, is we're talking about gender, but then also let's be real that we also, amongst us, our gender, we need to have that same uplift and not that crab in the barrel mentality. There's been some language in Boston about Black elite and on the ground and whatnot. What you all are doing, I want to remind people why we're actually here today, is Conan and Thaddeus are bringing us together to talk about the issues among us with these mayoral candidates. And that is taking place on Saturday, October 23rd at 5 p.m. And you can go register and it's case sensitive, lowercase bit.ly/BJP as in Black Joy Project, BJP debate. And so that's why we're here today. But these are examples of the type of things that we're going to bring attention to on Saturday. But I'll start with Thaddeus. I'll start with Conan this time. Thaddeus, what would you say to the Kings about the fact that we need to come together collectively as well? You mentioned that there's a lot of great work going on, and there are some collaborations and coordination, and then there's supporting Black businesses. And so what is it that you would say to Kings about our collective? Kwanzaa's more than December, our collective coming together. And Thaddeus looked like he's ready to go first.
No, I'm saying, so what you just did was you said, I'm going to start with Thaddeus. No, I'm going to start with Conan. Then you said Thaddeus, right? So,
Y'all not going to mess with me because you're trying to be excited.
Call him out all the time, man.
So I'm gonna let Conan say what he says.
Dad, go ahead, man. Get him.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, but no. I want to say one thing before I even answer that, right? Because we talk about women, but we forget about the LGBTQIA+ community and Black men and what that means, right? And how we coordinate, right? And so sometimes I feel like I want everybody from that community to understand when I'm talking about this issue, I'm also including that issue. I saw Quincy did a comment up there, and I know he's doing a survey. He's doing another talk back on Saturday itself, because we need to talk about those issues also, right? This ain't that, it's all just Black men, whatever, and however that's defined, right? This is about all of us as a collective talking about real issues, real family issues. And so for me, for Black men, it's like, look, we got a lot of issues and that we need to address as a collective. The Black Men's Coalition and that particular committee is the start of a process. We've been here. We've had MBK, Conan and I put in a lot of work around MBK. But the reality is the city never gave us $1, right, to do that particular work, right? And so if we're talking about the issues that we need to address, first of all, we need to show up. So I'm hoping that, there's a lot of it's about showing up, right? And it's not about that you got to be in the house, but you got to show up. You got to be able to support it. You got to share it. You got to be able to let the lead in some of these questions, because this isn't a Thaddeus thing, right? This is a us thing. I'm asking people to give us questions that we can ask, and not the ordinary questions that we hear in every repeated debate. Because it's the same question, the same thing, the same 3 answers, right? Here's talking point 1, and let me dive into talking point 2, and here's how to try to make people think that feel something about it, right? And and so for me, it's like we've got a different set of questions, we got a different conversation that we need to have, and I believe in my like Conan always said, there's 2 things that Conan says that I always steal from him. Right, and I never.
What is admitting it? He's admitting it finally. Go ahead.
And then I never give him to him, even though I gave him to him. He just didn't remember.
Oh, whatever. Look at this thing going, man.
Once Conan says it, it's over. Once Conan it comes out of Conan's mouth, I know one is we belong everywhere.
That's one. But the second one, and the most important one to me, is that we need saviors. We don't need saviors. We need believers.
Yes, sir.
Right. And so when I started to, it's just because there's a lot of folks out there that think that we need saviors. You know what I mean? But when we talk about mental health, when we talk about health disparities, when we talk about wealth disparities, when we talk about the legacy of wealth, what that looks like, when we talk about education, when we talk about a lot of these other sets of issues, we as Black men have a different pathway that we need to be able to walk to support and hug and lift each other. And so for me, this is just the start of those deep level conversations that we need to have, and that we need to make sure that we're holding others accountable for what they say, right? And if we don't ask them and we don't put it on record, then we're losing something.
Conan.
I'll just say, this debate is definitely not about Thaddeus, myself. This is about us as a collective. And I think that is so crucial, important for us to show up, right? I know sometimes when people see events happening, if they didn't plan it, they start feeling like, oh, we ain't following behind X or following behind Z. Like, the truth of the matter is that we each do have different skill sets, and we bring them to the table. And there's moments where me and Thaddeus is just going to show up when they're doing the Black Male Commission and probably had nothing to do with while we're there at that particular moment. But we're still going to show up, and we don't need to always speak. We're just going to show love. And then there's moments where we're going to leave something and ask brothers to come and show love and be there. the truth of the matter is that we just got to continue to support each other and making sure that we're deliberate in that. That is, life happens and we can't show up at every event, but I'm just talking about the mindset and the sentiment behind it, to making sure that when issues of concern that are relevant to our community, we got to show up and be present at those moments. It was interesting. I was talking to a black police officer yesterday. We was talking about our community as a whole. And I said to them, I said, sometimes you guys get stuck under an umbrella, but you don't always come under this umbrella as a black man, right? And I know you're a black man first. So what I ask of you is that you should be at this debate, because even though you're an officer, sometimes you get under the umbrella of just being an officer. But I know, and you know, that you're a black man first. So I think that it's important that when we're doing stuff that you show up there as well, that you're added in this conversation as well, because you're part of our black community. And it's important for your voice to be heard and relevant, and your experience to be seen as a part of this larger conversation. So I just think that it's important to support each other, to show up for one another, and get rid of that sentiment that, man, because you didn't lead it, that you don't have to be a part of it. We need everybody. We need everybody, and we need to make sure we're being deliberate in our support for one another.
Yeah. And I want to go ahead, Thaddeus.
I was going to say, the one thing that I feel like that I am is I'm a good leader and I'm a good follower. Right?
Good leader. That's the premise of a good leader, being a good follower.
Because there's opportunities for me to lead, and there's opportunities for me to learn, there's opportunities for me to share, and there's opportunities for me to follow. And I've done a lot of following in my life that's led me to beautiful, beautiful spaces. Right. And so I'm going back to what Conan said. This ain't about Thaddeus. I want to be clear. This is about Thaddeus. This isn't about any of that. This is about that I said I was going to do something, and I'm doing it. And I'm asking everybody about it. I felt a certain way and I acted on it. Right. It's about, not suppressing my feelings and just moving on, and sort of like, how do I get to those next steps? And I feel like we as black men, once we start making promises to ourselves that we need to step into it. The same way I'm trying to bring this weight off, I don't want to keep yo-yoing. I don't want us to keep yo-yoing, right? Because that's doing more damage to my health than it's actually doing good. And so for me, like, we've got a process now that we need to keep building, and losing some of that stuff that stopped us. You know what I mean? That when we hit that plateau, how do we get to that next thing?
Gentlemen, the time went so quick, and we have until 9:45. Conan and I have a call. We got to get on at 10. But I wanted to ask both of you, in ending out, what would you, though you're coordinating this and you both have been very sensitive to the voices of others, you all are very experienced, and you all are individual black men as fathers and partners. What would you see as the top issue in Boston that needs to be addressed? I wanted to ask both of you that. Before I do that, I wanted to say that both Conan and Thaddeus, in that, because I was going to bring this topic up and Thaddeus beat me to it, both of them have been very supportive, and in conversations they've pulled me in, they have said, James, listen, on one hand, we're not having you there to be the LGBTQI black voice in the room, but we need you to understand that you need to be comfortable to bring up anything that comes up. And so this is not a cadence just here. This was a cadence, Conan, the night we were at Cesario's with John.
Yeah.
Thaddeus, you've been mentioning it for years. And so I just wanted to mention that. And again, shout out to Quincy, because it is a part, we are a part of the community. So we have to be a part of the conversation, and someone that's part of the community, it can't usurp the whole conversation either. I'm going to say that it has to be a balance and a part of, but Conan, I would ask you to get ready with closing remarks. And what do you think the top issue is that we need to address?
The wealth gap. That for me is huge, right? The thing about it is I use my own experience as an example. Growing up in a family of single mother, we learned how to survive, but we didn't know how to thrive, right? We knew survival really well, right? We knew how to survive, right? We got the limps and the scars to prove it, but we didn't know what thriving looked like. And as an adult, as a parent, and being in a position where I feel like me and my family, we're thriving, we had to be deliberate in that. I just feel like the weight that is taken off my shoulders, being in a direction where I know not just that we belong everywhere, but we belong to earn as well. There were so many great leaders in our community, so many great people that have passed away and passed away with bills. And I wanted to make sure that, man, anything happened to me, that I'm not passing away and giving my family debt. I'm giving them assets. And we need to be able to conquer that conversation around our wealth and our opportunity, because that will make us, one, live longer with less stress, and two, be able to provide for our families the way that anybody deserves to living in this country. And we belong and we deserve, and we got to push the agenda when we elect folks to make sure that they're creating opportunities, not just a wipe over of the city and saying Boston's doing well, but the residents, all residents of Boston are doing well, especially people who have been left behind for hundreds of years, which is the Black community. We have to be able to deal with that wealth gap, and we have to elect folks that's going to tackle it and not be afraid and not just talk, but have action behind it. That's important. And so as Black men, we got to step up and be a part of this conversation, because if you're not you know what happens when we're not a part of the conversation. We're left behind. History tells us that. So make sure that we're part of the conversation. My number one thing is our wealth gap. We have to deal with that. They're not going to get me to talk about our social well-being. Those things are important as well. But that's what they'll really do. They'll put together a social emotional program and think that they supported us. No, 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 no. We get to support ourselves. Knock open that door, give us equal footing so we can earn like everyone else. And believe me, the other things we'll deal with ourselves, but give us the opportunity to earn.
That. Thaddeus. Conan, you preaching, sir.
Yeah, so I'm not any different than Conan, because Conan and I have those same conversations around wealth, around what can be left to my. When I'm thinking about what I'm earning, what I'm doing, I ain't think about my son or my grandson. I think about my great-great-grandson. What am I leaving for them, legacy-wise, right? What am I leaving to so that they can build through? Like my grandson's not gonna have to worry about whether he get a scholarship. Right, you know what I mean? Because he can be good if you want to go to college, right? If you want to be an entrepreneur, whatever it is that he wants to do, he can be good, and he's gonna be able to step into that, right? That But I also think so. I'm this whole concept. I'm diving more into this, going back into what I started a while back around this whole concept of hood fit, right? And the hood fit component for me is like spiritual wellness, right? Where are you at spiritually? Where are you at mentally? Where are you at physically? But what people always forget is where you at financially, right? So that's when I started looking at it. It's those four components, because if you're living from bill to bill, that's an everyday struggle that I don't care if you do have good health care, if you do have good mental health care, there's still a struggle and it's a stress that's a challenge. So for me, it's about those things. It's about the wealth gap, but it's also about how do we come together as a collective of Black men and feel like we belong, and to be able to have some of those deep, real conversations that we need to have. That I think started from Brother Barrows. Other people out here doing it, so I don't want to take anything from anybody, because a lot of people out here doing some amazing work, right? And I can start names, and some of the people are up here, right? But it's for me, it's around what are we doing legacy and what are we doing generationally, and what can I do to be able to start that process now, that my great-great-grandson will be able to stand up and say, I'm a Miles. I'm the great-great-grandson of Thaddeus Miles, right? And and so for me, that's my step. And Thaddeus Miles was a builder, right? A builder of many things, but a builder of his family and a builder of connecting folks the same way that I and Conan and others connect, right? And I think the last thing I'll say is, Another thing that Conan and I talk about, we're not all the same. Conan and I are pretty close, right? That we gonna say some shit. Right? we gonna walk in the room and we might not get invited back. Right? You know what I mean? But everybody ain't bringing that energy.
That's right.
And I had to learn to be all right with that. And what I learned from like just watching Barrows and this movement and some other folks in their movement was that I was wrong on stuff. Because I was judging folks about what they did in my presence, not about their pathway, right? And what they were doing to be impactful and to create sustainability for other things, right? So I had to take that away from myself. And I think one of the things that we need to start doing is not being like, that boy ain't with me because he's not walking with me.
Right.
Now, he doesn't have the same vision that I have, but he's in that path, knows what his strengths are, knows what his weaknesses are, and are still moving forward. And we're all moving together. So I think we need to, as we start to move through this, to be able to do some of that thinking and healing, and understand that everybody ain't walking in with their chest out.
That's right.
Right? Some of them walking in with the chest covered up, but they're doing more work than some of those with their chest out.
They're doing some great work out there. Me and Thaddeus talked about that clearly. There's some great brothers out there that are doing great work. I used to always talk trash and call them the shiny shoe brothers. And the truth of the matter is that them brothers are killing it. I've had a chance to kind of engage them in different ways. And them brothers are doing some excellent stuff. I like the brother Amari, man, brother Orlando over there at the Boston Foundation. Like, there's different brothers, man, that I used to like literally have my views about. And these brothers are killing it in their own way. And I love these brothers, man. And so me and Thaddeus talked about it some time ago. And I took a step back for myself and said, wait a minute, these brothers are great. And I want to be able to support them and make sure see the love that they have, even if it's not coming off the way that my love shows. I still want to respect their pathway and the way that they do it, and that only strengthens us as a collective. And I think that more of us need to take on that step and say, you're not doing it the way I'm doing it, but I respect and appreciate the fact that you're in it and doing it the way that you are, and that will make us even better.
I appreciate both of you, and we're a little bit over time, and I don't want to get us in trouble.
I gotta go.
I will. I will say this. I'll let you all go, but I wanted to just make sure that folks beyond Saturday, but we are here today to promote Saturday as well. So please remember to go register. Here is the information for the mayoral debate. Both candidates have committed to being there. John Barrows is going to moderate it. We would like
John Barrows is going to moderate.
John Barrows is going to moderate it. We might get a little extra fire up out of him on Saturday, but we are definitely looking forward to this. But please go and register. Knowing both of my brothers, it goes without saying that we are going to observe COVID precautions and whatnot. And don't forget that you need to take care of yourself. But I appreciate both of you. I thank both of you for the roles that you have played in my life and encouraging me, getting at me, fussing, cussing, and just keeping me stable and sustainable. And it is really appreciated. And I love and appreciate both of you.
We love you back, brother.
Yeah, I love you, man. But the only thing I'm gonna say to you is,
oh God, he said, but.
Yes, when you go to wherever you go for your vacations next year, and you want to take that shirt off, keep that shirt on, boy. Keep that shirt. I don't care if you do got abs showing.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Let him do what he want to do.
Y'all see, I'm almost turning as red as the shirt. Yo, I really appreciate both of you, and we will be there Saturday. It is going live off the. It is going to be streamed live, and we'll get you more information. Thaddeus, where can they go to watch it stream?
So we're so I want to be clear about this. We're getting this professionally done. You know what I mean? This is a Black Joy thing. I ain't going over here asking for anything. We just doing it, right? And I just want people to know that this isn't being leveraged out. This isn't some other organization by us. We're doing this on our own because that's the way that it just should be done. Because we want to ask real questions and not have to be accountable for others that may feel a certain way. So we will get that information out soon, but we're just locking in some things. But it is live. It is going to be people. So they've got like 120 space for 120 some folks. Don't just show up. Right? Please go out and register, and we will get the live information out at some point tomorrow.
Okay.
Actually, it's not going to be on. Black Joy doesn't have a Facebook page, right?
Okay.
So we've got another thing that we're doing. It'll be on YouTube and it'll be in another group. We just got to solidify that link.
And you know where they let me, I'll be going live here and there as well too, supporting it. So Conan has to go. I just got to text Jesus. All right. I'll let both of you go and I'm going to wrap up, and Conan, I'll see you in a few minutes. Have a great day, everybody, both of you. And I'm going to do some announcements. Thank both of you for coming in.
No, thank you, brother. Love, man.
Peace to you, man. Peace to you.
Listen, y'all, that was absolutely awesome having Conan and Thaddeus in the room to talk about the event that's taking place on Saturday and just about black men's issues and youth as well. We're just going to review a couple of the comments. Full monetization. I ain't messing with you, props. Thank you, Thaddeus, for your community love and leadership. Your altruism is incomparable. Let him live shirtless. Jen, I ain't messing with you. And Gail, he had to get me, but this was definitely an awesome session this morning. I do have to get ready to go to get on that 10 o'clock that I referred to with Conan, but just wanted to go out with this information. Quick little commercial break before we go, and we'll be back with you in just a couple of seconds.
Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
There's a lot of great events and activities going on in our community. And so that video is up on the Java with Jimmy page and shared on my personal page as well. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. Today is Thursday. We will see you tomorrow evening. I just had the flyer up. We'll see you tomorrow evening, I believe at 6 p.m. for the event with Dee Dee's Cry that was just there in the video. Y'all forgive me. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you. I did that by mistake, Jesus. We will see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Thank you.